Blizzard hit Wisconsin at 11 p.m. like it wanted to destroy something. Wind screaming, snow sideways, -15 with wind chill. Connor couldn't sleep. 6 years old, wired, listening to the house groan. We were crashing in my parents' guest room, 2 months since I lost my job and the apartment that came with it. Air mattress for him, cot for me, house rules that said we were tolerated, not welcome. Need water, he whispered. Okay. Quiet, though. We crept downstairs. I turned on the smallest light over the sink, filled a glass halfway, handed it to him. He took it with both hands, careful like I'd taught him. Turned to go back. His elbow caught the shelf. The narrow one mounted between kitchen and hallway. The one holding my younger brother Kyle's Harvard Law acceptance trophy. It tipped. Connor grabbed for it. Missed. Trophy hit the floor, glass base shattering across tile. Connor froze. The cup slipped from his hands, water spilling into the glass shards. "Oh no," he whispered. "Oh no, oh no." "It's okay," I said, already moving for paper towels. "Accident. We'll clean it up." Footsteps upstairs. Fast. My mother's voice carried down before she appeared. "What did you break?" She came down in her robe, face already set in that expression that meant I'd confirmed every low expectation. My father Richard followed slower, heavier. My mother Carol stopped at the bottom step. Saw the shattered trophy. Hand to her mouth. "Do you know how hard Kyle worked for that?" Her voice climbing. "Do you know what that represented?" Connor started crying. The silent kind where his body shook, but barely any sound came out. "It was an accident," I said, kneeling to pick up glass. "He's 6. "You never taught him to be careful," my father said from the doorway. "Just like you never learned." He bumped a shelf. I kept my voice level. "Kids bump things." My mother's face twisted. "Not in our house. Kyle was never this careless." "Kyle's 22 and at Harvard," I said before I could stop myself. "Connor's 6. Wrong thing to say. My father's jaw tightened. "You're right. It's not the same. Kyle earned his place here. You're on our couch because you couldn't keep a job." There it was. I got laid off. The whole third shift did. "You got a girl pregnant at 18, my father continued like I hadn't spoken. "Dropped out. Burned every opportunity. Now you're raising a kid who breaks things in the middle of the night." Connor sobbed louder. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. I put my hand on his shoulder. "Not your fault, buddy." "Don't tell him it's not his fault," my mother snapped. "He needs to learn consequences." "He's 6, I repeated. "It's 11 p.m. during a blizzard. Can we handle this in the morning?" My father stepped closer, voice cold. "No, we're handling this now. Because I'm done. We're done." My stomach dropped. "Done with what?" "This." He gestured at Connor, at me, at the broken glass. "We opened our home, and this is what we get. Chaos. Disrespect. It was an accident. Your trash kid has no place here," my father said. Clean and final like he'd been waiting weeks to say it. Silence except for wind and Connor's hitching breaths. "Richard," my mother said, but didn't say stop. "We're done raising your mistake. Get out." Connor looked up at me, eyes huge. "It's -15 outside," I said. "Blizzard warning. Should have thought about that." My father grabbed 2 duffel bags from the closet, threw them at my feet. "Pack. Now." My mother crossed her arms. "You can't keep manipulating us, Ethan. We've sacrificed enough. I lost my job. That's not manipulation. Get your things." Connor grabbed my leg, shaking. "Are we leaving?" "Yeah, buddy. Get your coat." My father watched while I shoved clothes into bags. Connor's bare, school folder, toothbrushes. The whole time standing in the doorway making sure we didn't take anything that wasn't ours. At the front door, my mother held out her hand. "I'll take your key." I twisted it off my keyring, dropped it in her palm. She closed her fist around it. My father opened the door. Cold punched in, snow blowing into the hallway. Connor whimpered. "Daddy, it's cold." I crouched down, zipped his coat tight, pulled his hood. We're gonna be okay. Please, I said. Just let us stay tonight. We'll leave in the morning. It's dangerous. You should have thought about that, my mother said, staring at the broken trophy. Out, my father said. I picked up both bags, took Connor's hand, walked onto the porch. Door slammed. Lock clicked. Connor started crying for real now. Full sobs. He looked at the wet spot on his sleeve and whispered, "It's my fault." I knelt in the snow. "No, this is not your fault. You hear me? Never." He nodded but didn't believe me. My car was half buried. I threw bags in back, buckled Connor into his seat. Got in front, turned the key. Nothing. Battery cold. Dashboard lit up weak. Come on. Tried again. Engine coughed, caught. Heater blasted cold air. Checked my phone. 32% battery. $287 in my account. Cheapest motel nearby was $95 a night with reviews about bedbugs. Did the math. Motel tonight, maybe tomorrow. Then what? Police station crossed my mind. Small town, always staffed, warm, public, witnesses. Where are we going? Connor asked. Somewhere safe. Are we in trouble? No, buddy. Grown-ups who lock kids out in blizzards are in trouble. He went quiet. Drove 4 miles at 20 miles per hour. Visibility maybe 20 feet. Car slid twice, my stomach dropping before tires caught. Connor held his bear, didn't speak. Police station was a small brick building, lights on. I pulled in. Why are we at the police? Connor asked. Because it's warm and safe. And when grown-ups make bad choices, police need to know. We went inside. Heat hit hard. Desk sergeant behind plexiglass. Older guy, nameplate said Davies. He saw Connor shivering and his face changed. Can I help you? Got locked out. Need somewhere warm. He stood up, came around. How old is he? 6. Officer Davies' expression tightened. Where's his mother? Not in the picture. You got locked out how? Family disagreement. My parents' house. They told us to leave. -15 out. He nodded. Come on back. Break room. Couch, coffee maker, vending machine. He handed Connor a blanket. Sit. I'll be back. Connor climbed on the couch, pulled the blanket over himself. Within minutes, he was asleep. Davies came back with a notepad. Need some information. Full name? Ethan Harrison. Address? As of 2 hours ago, none. He wrote that down. Previous address? Gave him my parents' street. Explained in short sentences. Lived there 2 months. Tonight, Connor broke something. They told us to leave. Took my key. Davies listened. When I finished, you got somewhere tomorrow? I'll figure it out. He tapped his pen. Ethan, I'm calling this in. Child Protective Services. My stomach dropped. Figured. You're not upset? Kid's 6. Blizzard. You had to. He nodded. Stepped into the hall, made the call. Came back 5 minutes later. Someone's coming. They're also sending a worker to your parents' address. Tonight? Tonight? Weather emergency, minor child. They don't wait. My chest tightened. My parents were going to lose it. An hour passed. Connor slept hard. I drank bad coffee, stared at my phone. 18 missed calls. Voicemails I didn't listen to. Text from my mother, how dare you involve police? I didn't respond. Put the phone face down. Davies' phone rang. He answered, listened, came back. That was the caseworker. Janet Sims. She just left your parents' place. Wants to talk to you. Speaker okay? Yeah. He dialed, hit speaker. A woman's voice came through, professional. Mr. Harrison? Yes, ma'am. Janet Sims, Child Protective Services. Direct question. Did you leave that house voluntarily tonight? No, ma'am. They locked the door and took my key. That matches what I observed. Describe where you and Connor lived. Guest room. Connor on an air mattress, me on a cot. Your mother showed me a guest room full of boxes and your brother's belongings. No bed. That's it. We cleared floor space. Silence. Mr. Harrison, I'm opening a case. This is an unsafe eviction of a minor during weather emergency. I'm issuing an emergency motel voucher, 3 nights. Officer Davies has details. Thank you. Take care of your son. Line clicked off. Davies handed me a voucher and address. Motel 6 blocks away, prepaid through the weekend. You're set. I looked at Connor asleep on the couch. 12 hours ago I had a family. Now I had a case number and a voucher. But Connor was warm. Safe. That was enough. I picked him up, blanket and all. He barely stirred. Davies held the door. Drive safe. The blizzard was clearing. Snow lighter now. Sky starting to pale at the edges. I buckled Connor in, drove 6 blocks to a motel that wasn't great but had heat and working locks. Checked in. Carried Connor to the room. Laid him on the bed, still in his coat. He rolled over, grabbed his bear, didn't wake. I sat by the window and watched the snow. Phone buzzed. More calls. I turned it off. Somewhere across town my parents were awake, furious, crafting their version where I was ungrateful and out of control. Let them. I'd learned you can't control what people say. Only what you do next. And what I did next was make sure my son had a roof and heat and safety. Everything else could wait. Woke up in the motel to my phone vibrating itself off the nightstand. Connor was still asleep, sprawled across the bed with his bear tucked under one arm. Picked up the phone. 18 missed calls. All from my parents' number, my mother's cell, 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. Checked voicemails. Put it on speaker low so Connor wouldn't hear. First one, my mother. Ethan, call us. We need to talk about this. Second one, hour later. Her voice tighter. I don't know what you told those people, but you need to fix this. Third one, my father. You involved the state in family business. That's unforgivable. Fourth one, my mother again, crying now. How could you do this to us, after everything we've done for you? I deleted them all. Put the phone on silent. Connor stirred, opened his eyes. Where are we? Motel. We're safe. He sat up, looked around the room like he was checking if it was real. Can we stay here? For a couple days. Then we'll figure out next steps. He nodded. Didn't ask about my parents. Didn't ask when we were going home. 6 years old and already learning that home wasn't a place you could count on. 2 days later, Janet called. I was at a gas station buying food with what was left of my cash. Connor in the back seat eating a pack of crackers. Mr. Harrison, this is Janet Sims. Do you have a minute? Yeah. I've completed initial interviews. Your parents, your brother Kyle in Boston, and a neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who lives next door to your parents. Okay. Mrs. Chen corroborated your account. She heard yelling that night, saw you and Connor leave with bags, noted the time and weather conditions. Your brother stated he wasn't present but confirmed ongoing family tension. Your parents deny forcing you to leave. They took my key and locked the door. I know. The evidence supports your version. The case is staying open pending a home visit and follow-up interview with you. Home visit where? I don't have a home. We'll work on that. I'll call you early next week. She hung up. I sat in the car staring at my phone. My parents had lied to CPS, straight up denied what they'd done. Part of me was surprised. Most of me wasn't. Next morning, email notification. Sender I didn't recognize. Opened it. Subject line. Cease and desist on behalf of Richard and Carol Harrison. Skimmed it. Legal letterhead, family attorney, language about defamation and filing false reports, and potential civil action if I continued to spread malicious lies about my parents' character. My hands shook. Not from fear. From rage. Forwarded it to Janet with one line. Got this today. Thought you should see. She called 20 minutes later. Ignore it. They're threatening to sue me. For telling the truth. That's not defamation. Truth is an absolute defense. They're trying to scare you. It's working. Don't let it. Stay focused on Connor. I'll handle this. I tried to. But focus was hard when I got the next call an hour later. My supervisor from the warehouse. Ethan, where are you? You were scheduled 6 a.m. My brain blanked. I'd completely forgotten my shift. Between the lockout and CPS and the motel and everything, work had fallen off my mental radar entirely. Family emergency, I said. My son, we had to. I can explain. This is your third no-call, no-show this month. I was laid off. You hired me back part-time 3 weeks ago, and you've missed 3 shifts without calling in. I can't keep doing this. You're terminated effective immediately. The line went dead. I sat in the motel parking lot with the engine off and the heat fading and tried to figure out how this had all fallen apart so fast. 72 hours ago, I had a roof and a job. Now I had neither. Connor was inside watching cartoons on the motel TV. Didn't know his dad had just lost the only income we had. That night, Connor woke up screaming. I bolted upright, reached for him in the dark. "You're okay? You're okay," I said, pulling him close. "Just a dream." He was shaking, gasping. They locked the door. I couldn't get in. It was cold. "We're not there anymore, buddy. We're safe." He cried into my shoulder for 10 minutes before falling back asleep. I stayed awake the rest of the night watching him breathe. Next afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Normally I wouldn't answer, but something made me pick up. Ethan? Kyle? My younger brother? Harvard Law, golden child, the one who'd gotten out and never looked back? Yeah. What on earth, man? Mom called me crying saying CPS showed up. Dad's talking about lawyers. What's going on? I explained. Short version. Trophy, lockout, blizzard, police station, CPS. Silence on his end for a long moment. Then, Dad said, "You attacked him." "And you believed him?" More silence. "I didn't attack anyone," I said. "Connor accidentally broke a trophy. They kicked us out during a blizzard. That's it." Kyle exhaled. "Mom said you manipulated the police. I drove to a police station and said we got locked out. That's not manipulation. That's survival. Why didn't you call me? You moved to Boston to get away from this family, Kyle. Why would I call?" He didn't answer that. "Look, I don't know what to believe. Believe what you want. I've got enough to deal with." I hung up. Felt bad about it for maybe 5 seconds. Then moved on. The motel voucher ran out on day 3. Janet called that morning. I found emergency housing, transitional shelter for single parents. It's not permanent, but it's safe and warm and supervised. My pride tried to fight it. I don't need charity. Connor needs stable housing. This gets you both stable while you find work. There's a bed for him, a cot for you, shared kitchen, case management support. I closed my eyes. Okay, she texted me the address. I packed our 2 duffel bags, checked out, drove across town to a low brick building with a sign that said Family Haven. Inside, small rooms, clean but worn. Met the director, signed paperwork, got assigned a room. 2 other single dads living there, one with a toddler, one with twin 8-year-olds. They nodded when we walked in, didn't ask questions. Connor got a narrow bed with a donated comforter. I got a cot. Our stuff fit in one closet. "You'll be okay here," one of the dads said. Jerome, mid-30s, kind eyes. His son was 3, playing with blocks in the corner. "We all been where you are." "Thanks." That evening, I was in the shared kitchen making mac and cheese from the food pantry when someone knocked on the front door. Director answered. I heard my mother's voice. "I need to speak to my son." "Ma'am, residents have to approve visitors." The director came to find me. "Your mother's here. I don't want to see her. She's asking to talk to you. I can tell her to leave." "I'll handle it." Went to the front lobby. My mother stood there in her coat, face blotchy from crying. She saw me, and her expression crumpled. "Ethan, please. Can we talk? What's there to talk about?" "I need you to come home. This has gone too far." "CPS? Lawyers? You living in a shelter? It's insane. You kicked us out." "We were angry. People say things when they're angry." "You called Connor trash." "I didn't mean it." "You meant it." Her face hardened. "You're punishing us. You know that?" You're using Connor to punish us. I stared at her. You locked a 6-year-old out in a blizzard and I'm the one punishing people? If you would just apologize and come back, we could fix this. Apologize for what? For involving the police. For making us look like monsters. I turned around and walked back inside. She called after me, but I didn't stop. Director locked the door behind me. You good? Yeah. Few days later, Janet scheduled a formal interview. Came to the shelter, sat with me in a small office, notepad out. I need to ask about your history with your parents. Pattern of behavior? Prior to the lockout, were there other incidents? I thought about lying, making it sound better than it was. Then thought about Connor waking up screaming about locked doors. Told her the truth. They forgot Connor's birthday twice. Refused to babysit so I could work evening shifts. Called him a mistake regularly. Made it clear we were tolerated, not wanted. Compared him to Kyle constantly. When I lost my job, they let me stay but reminded me daily it was charity. Janet wrote it all down. How long were you living there? 2 months. And before that? Apartment across town. Lost it when I got laid off. Couldn't make rent. Support system? Friends? Other family? Not really. My ex, Connor's mom, left when he was 6 months old. Haven't heard from her since. Friends kind of faded after I became a single dad. She closed her notepad. This will be in my report. Will it matter? It establishes a pattern. It shows the lockout wasn't isolated. That night my phone rang. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer. Then did. My father's voice, loud and sharp. You destroyed this family? I locked out a 6-year-old in a blizzard, I said. That was you. You involved the state. You made us look like abusers. You are abusers. He started yelling, something about disrespect and ingratitude and poisoning Kyle against them. I hung up, blocked the number. Connor was watching from his bed. Was that Grandpa? Yeah. Is he still mad? Yeah, buddy. He is. Connor rolled over, faced the wall. Okay. 3 weeks after the lockout, I got hired at an auto parts store. $16 an hour, 35 hours a week. Not great, but real. Manager asked why I left my last job. I told the truth. Family emergency, missed shifts. He paused, then said, When can you start? The next day. First paycheck came 2 weeks later. $560 after tax. Shelter charged $200 a month, subsidized rate. Left me $360 for food, bus fare, everything else. I sat on my cot that night and looked at the deposit slip. 3 weeks ago, we were homeless. Now we had $700 in the bank and a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. Connor was asleep, finally sleeping through the night without nightmares. It wasn't much, but it was ours. And that was enough. Month after the lockout, life found a rhythm. Auto parts, store 5 days a week, 8-hour shifts, stocking shelves and running register. Came home to the shelter, made dinner in the shared kitchen with Jerome and the other dads, helped Connor with homework at the small table in our room. Connor's teacher, Mrs. Patterson, sent encouraging emails. He's doing well, participating more. Let me know if you need anything. Small kindnesses from people who owed me nothing. Evenings I did math on napkins. Current savings, $1,247. Rent deposits around here, first month plus security, averaged $1,900 minimum. At my current save rate, 5 months. Maybe 4 if I picked up weekend overtime. Unless something changed. Something changed on a Tuesday. I was restocking oil filters when someone walked into the store. Looked up. My brother Kyle stood there in a button-down and jeans, looking out of place among the motor oil and tire displays. Stared at him. What are you doing here? Can we talk? After your shift? I'm off at 5. I'll wait. He sat in his car in the parking lot for 2 hours. I watched him through the window between customers, trying to figure out what he wanted. 5 o'clock hit. Clocked out. Met him outside. There's a coffee shop down the block, he said. Fine. We walked in silence. Ordered coffee, sat in a corner booth. Kyle looks tired. Not just physical tired. The kind that goes deeper. I talked to Mrs. Chen, he said. The neighbor. She told me what she heard that night. The yelling. Seeing you leave with bags. The weather. Okay. Dad said you were lying. That you left on your own and made up the lockout story. And you believed him. Kyle looked at his coffee. Because it was easier. I waited. Because I didn't want to admit our parents are, he paused, searching for the word. Jerks? I finished. He nodded. Yeah. That. We sat quiet for a minute. Then he pulled out his phone, opened his banking app, turned it toward me. I can give you 800. It's what I can spare right now. My pride kicked in automatic. I don't need charity. It's not charity. Kyle's voice was firm. It's me fixing what I didn't stop. I wasn't there that night, but I've been there for 22 years watching them treat you different. I knew it was happening, and I left anyway. So take the money. Stared at him. Kyle had never stood up to our parents. Not once. I'll pay you back. I know. He transferred it right there. My phone buzzed with the notification. $800. That night I sat on my cot and counted. Savings, $1247. Kyle's money, $800. Total, $2047. Enough for first month and deposit at most places. Not all, but most. Connor was reading a book Jerome had given him. Looked up. Why are you smiling? We're getting our own place, buddy. His face lit up. Really? Really? Few days later, Kyle called me. Voice tight. I told them, he said. Mom and Dad. That I gave you money. What did they say? Dad lost it. Said I was enabling you. Mom said I was choosing you over them. What did you say? Told them I was helping my nephew. That they locked out a 6-year-old and I wasn't going to pretend that was okay. Silence on the line. Mom gave me an ultimatum, Kyle continued. Her or you. Choose. And? Told her I wasn't choosing. I was doing what's right. Then I hung up. My throat went tight. Thanks. Yeah. Started apartment hunting that weekend. Most places wanted income 3 times the rent, 6-month work history, perfect credit. I had none of those things. Found a small 2-bedroom in an older building. Carpet stained, paint chipped, but clean. Windows worked. Heat worked. $950 a month. Landlord was a guy named Mr. Torres, mid-50s, tired eyes. Looked over my application. You're at a shelter, he said. Transitional housing, yeah? I've got a job now. Auto parts store, can provide references. My CPS caseworker, my son's teacher, the shelter director. CPS caseworker, told him the short version. He listened without interrupting. First and last month plus deposit, he said. $28.50 total. Can you do that? My heart sank. I have $20.47. He tapped his pen on the clipboard. You got a kid? 6 years old. Connor. Torres looked at the application. Single dad. CPS reference. Shelter. Job for 3 weeks. 2,000, he said finally. First month plus deposit. You get me last month when you can. Stared at him. Why? I got 3 kids. I know what trying looks like. Deal. 6 weeks after the lockout, Jerome helped me move our 2 duffel bags and 3 boxes of donated stuff into the apartment. Mrs. Patterson dropped off dishes and towels she'd collected from other teachers. Connor walked into his room. Small, bare, just a bed Jerome had helped me carry up the stairs and a lamp from the thrift store. This is mine? Connor asked. All yours. He ran around it twice, touched the walls like he couldn't believe they were real, then hugged me so hard I thought my ribs would crack. Best day ever, he whispered. That night after Connor fell asleep, checked my email. New message from my mother. Subject line. We made mistakes. Opened it. Your father and I have been talking. We reacted poorly that night. The trophy incident was unfortunate. But family is family. Kyle won't speak to us because of you. Please. Let's have dinner and work this out. Read it twice. Looking for an apology to Connor. Didn't find one. Looking for accountability. Found blame instead. Because of you. Deleted it. Week later, Janet showed up for a home inspection. Walked through the apartment, checked Connor's room, opened the fridge, tested the smoke detector. "Can I talk to Connor alone for a minute?" she asked. "Sure." Waited in the hallway. Heard her voice through the door, quiet and kind. "Do you feel safe here?" Connor's response, immediate. "Yeah, I have my own bed." Janet came out smiling. "You're doing good." "Thanks." She sat with me at the kitchen table. Small, wobbly, donated from the shelter. Pulled out a folder. "Case is closed," she said. "You're employed, housing is stable, Connor's thriving. No safety concerns." Handed me a copy of the file. "This is yours. For your records." After she left, I opened it. Flipped through interview transcripts. My mother's words typed out clean and cold. "He's always been difficult. This is just another manipulation." My father's. "We have rights. This is government overreach." Then Mrs. Chen, the neighbor. "I heard screaming. Saw them push bags outside. It was snowing hard." I almost went over, but I didn't know what to say. Closed the file. Put it in the cabinet under the sink behind the cleaning supplies. Not to forget. To remember what I'd survived. 2 months after the lockout, Kyle visited the apartment. First time seeing it. Brought pizza, played cards with Connor on the living room floor, laughed when Connor beat him in a race. "Is Uncle Kyle staying?" Connor asked at bedtime. Looked at Kyle. "You're always welcome here." Kyle's eyes went wet. "Thanks." After Connor fell asleep, we sat on the couch with cheap beer from the corner store. "Mom calls me every day," Kyle said. Crying. Asking me to fix this. And? Told her there's nothing to fix. "You didn't break anything." We sat quiet. Drank our beers. Watched some game on TV neither of us cared about. That night after Kyle left, I pulled out the file Janet had given me. Read through it one more time. My parents' version. My version. Mrs. Chen's version. Only one of those versions had a 6-year-old shivering on a porch in a blizzard. Put the file back in the cabinet. 2 months ago, we'd been locked out with nowhere to go. Tonight, Connor was asleep in his own room in our apartment with food in the fridge and heat that worked, and a door I had the only key to. My parents wanted dinner and reconciliation, and for me to apologize for ruining their reputation. They could want. Connor was safe. That was the only thing that mattered. Everything else could wait forever. 6 months later, life looked different. Got promoted to assistant manager at the auto parts store, $18.50 an hour. Connor was thriving. Straight A's and B's, 3 friends he talked about constantly, soccer on Saturdays that he loved even though he wasn't very good. Small apartment, tight budget, but stable. Kyle visited every few weeks, always brought food or small gifts for Connor, stayed for dinner, helped with homework. My parents, 0 contact. Numbers blocked, emails filtered to trash. Life was quiet, predictable, safe. Then Kyle called on a Wednesday evening. "Grandma passed," he said. "Heart attack, funeral Saturday." Long pause on my end. "I'm sorry, I know you were close." "Will you come?" "I don't know, they'll be there." "I know." Heard footsteps behind me. Turned. Connor stood in the doorway, eyes wide. "Are we going?" he asked after I hung up. Sat down with him on the couch. "Do you want to go to great-grandma's funeral?" He was cautious. "Will Grandma and Grandpa be there?" "Yes." "Will they be mean?" "I don't know." "Maybe." Connor thought hard, chewing his bottom lip the way he did when making big decisions. "I don't want to go," he said finally. "Okay, you can stay with Jerome. I'll go by myself." "Why are you going if I'm not?" "Because it's the right thing to do, even when it's hard." Saturday came cold and gray. Left Connor with Jerome, drove an hour to the small church in my parents' town. Arrived late on purpose, slipped into the back pew. My parents sat in front. Mom in black, thin and pale. Dad next to her, rigid. They saw me. Mom's face crumpled. Dad's hardened. I didn't move, didn't approach. Just sat. Service was short, generic words about a woman I'd known but never been close to because my parents had always kept distance between us. Like they'd been ashamed. Burial was outside in the cemetery, snow dusting the headstones, wind cutting through coats. People dispersed after the pastor finished. I turned to leave. You came. My father's voice. Turned around. He stood 3 feet away, hands in his coat pockets. Nodded. Your grandmother asked about you, he said. Before she passed. What did you tell her? He shifted. Uncomfortable. That you were going through something. You mean you didn't tell her you locked me and Connor out in a blizzard? His jaw tightened. We did what we thought was right. Then you have nothing to apologize for. Walked away. He didn't follow. Got to my car. Reached for the door handle. Heard footsteps. My mother. Face red, crying. Please. Can we talk? Tired. Bone deep. Tired of this. What's left to say? I miss Connor. I miss you. Felt the pull. The old wound that wanted to believe maybe this time would be different. Stayed firm. You called him trash, Mom. To his face. She sobbed. I know. I'm so sorry. I was angry. I didn't mean it. You meant it. You've always resented him. That's not true. Pulled out my phone. Opened email. If you want any chance, here's what I need. She stared. What? I'll email you. Conditions. Non-negotiable. You meet them or we're done. Forever. Drove home. Sat at the kitchen table. Typed out the email with Kyle CCD. Subject. Conditions for contact. 1. Both parents attend family therapy. Provide proof. 2. Written apology to Connor. I approve before you send. 3. No comments about my parenting, finances, or past. 4. Supervised visits only. Public places. 1 hour maximum. 5. 1 violation equals permanent no contact. Stared at it for 5 minutes. Finger hovering over send. Sent. 3 days later, 2 responses. My father's came first. These demands are insulting. We are your parents. When you're ready to act like an adult, call us. Deleted it. My mother's came an hour later. Your father doesn't speak for me. I'm starting therapy this week. Attach the appointment confirmation. I'm writing Connor's letter. I'll send you a draft first. Please. I want to try. Opened the attachment. Real therapist, real appointment, scheduled for next Tuesday. Called Kyle. Read him both emails. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know yet. Part of me wants to believe her. And the other part? Remembers every time she chose him over me. Year later, Connor turned 7. Small birthday party in our apartment. Balloons, cheap decorations, cake from the grocery store bakery. Jerome came with his son. Mrs. Patterson brought a card and a book. Mr. Torres, our landlord, dropped off a gift card. Kyle drove in from Boston with a remote control car that Connor screamed over. My mother came. Supervised, 1 hour, on her best behavior. She'd been to therapy for 8 months. Sent me proof every week. Wrote Connor a letter I'd approved after 3 drafts. Visited twice supervised before today. Short visits. Careful visits. Her learning how to be a grandmother without being cruel. My father refused therapy. Refused to apologize. Refused everything. Wasn't invited. Mom brought a Lego set. The exact one Connor had mentioned once 3 visits ago. He opened it, looked at her, said thanks, Grandma, with politeness but not warmth. She stayed for cake, helped clean up, hugged me before leaving. Thank you for this chance, she whispered. Nodded. Didn't say you're welcome. Wasn't there yet. That night, Connor climbed into bed with his new Lego set on his nightstand. Is Grandma going to visit again? He asked. Maybe, if she keeps trying. What about Grandpa? No, buddy, not unless he changes. And I don't think he will. Connor yawned. Okay. Fell asleep 2 minutes later. I sat in the living room with the lights off, looking at the apartment we'd built from nothing. Secondhand furniture, donated dishes, walls that needed paint. But ours. Safe. Stable. Used to think forgiveness meant pretending it never happened. That family meant loyalty no matter what. Connor taught me different. Forgiveness without accountability is just permission to hurt you again. Mom was trying. Actually trying. Therapy, apologies, showing up and behaving. Dad wasn't. Refused to admit fault, refused to change, still believed he'd done nothing wrong. And I'd learned to tell the difference. Connor was asleep in his own room. In our apartment. Safe. Not because my parents finally loved him, but because I'd chosen him over their approval. That was everything.